Okay, so let us continue reading through the section in Joshua concerning the allotments of the land. We've got 7 more chapters of this. And again, this is not very exciting reading for us, but this is very important to these people. This is what their entire tribal inheritances would be based on throughout their entire history. I don't know how complete this information is. I'm assuming they had more detailed records in their family. You know, their families had access to more detailed records, more precisely detailing which clan and which family got which territory. But this is what is left in the scriptures that have been preserved for us through time. Most of the scriptures, most of the Old Testament narratives from this point forward are clearly compiled from earlier sources. Judges, the Kings, Samuel, the Kings. Okay, so it's very likely that they did have more detailed records at their disposal that were not preserved completely, fully here in these scriptures. We're going to read about Joshua sending people into the land again to survey it and write a report for him. And I don't think we have that report. So they had access to other materials, probably specifying a bit more clearly where each tribe and family should go, or clan. Each family, clan, and tribe, clan, and family should go. What we have here, however, is enough to give us a general idea of where the tribal allotments were and how big they were and how many cities they had. Okay, so chapter 16 in Joshua. The allotment for Joseph, remember Joseph is split into 2, Ephraim and Manasseh, began at the Jordan of Jericho, east of the waters of Jericho, and went up from there through the desert into the hill country of Bethel. It went on from Bethel, that is Luz. Remember, that was way back in Jacob's day when he was there. Crossed over to the territory of the Archites in Ataroth, descended westward to the territory of the Japhlethites, as far as the region of lower Beth Horon, and on to Gezer, ending at the sea. So Manasseh and Ephraim, the descendants of Joseph, received their inheritance. This was the territory of Ephraim, clan by clan. The boundary of their inheritance went from Ataroth Adar in the east to upper Beth Horon and continued to the sea. From Michmethath on the north, it curved eastward to Tanath Shiloh, passing by it to Janoah on the east. Then it went down from Janoah to Ataroth and Narah, touched Jericho, and came out at the Jordan. From Tappuah, the border went west to the Kanah ravine, and ended at the sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Ephraimites, clan by clan. It also included all the towns and their villages that were set aside for the Ephraimites within the inheritance of the Manassites. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day, whatever day this final record was put down, the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labors. They were slaves, in other words. They were forced laborers. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn. That is, from Machir, Manasseh's firstborn. Machir was the ancestor of the Gileadites, who had received Gilead and Bashan because the Machirites were great soldiers. So this allotment was for the rest of the people of Manasseh, the clans of Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. You stop that. These are the other male descendants. These are the other male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons, but only daughters, whose names were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. We've read about them before. They went to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders, and said, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our brothers." So Joshua gave them an inheritance along with the brothers of their father, according to the Lord's command. Manasseh's share consisted of 10 tracts of land besides Gilead and Bashan, east of the Jordan, because the daughters of the tribe of Manasseh received an inheritance among the sons. Women did not usually inherit land, of course. In this particular case, a provision was made so they could do so. Normally they did not. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh extended from Asher to Michmethath, east of Shechem. The boundary ran southward from there to include the people living in Tappuah. Manasseh had the land at Tappuah, but Tappuah itself on the boundary of Manasseh belonged to the Ephraimites. Then the boundary continued south to the Kanah ravine. There were towns belonging to Ephraim lying among the towns of Manasseh, but the boundary of Manasseh was the northern side of the ravine and ended at the sea. On the south, the land belonged to Ephraim, on the north to Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh reached the sea and bordered Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Beth Shan, Ibleam, and the people of Dor, Endor, Tanakh, and Megiddo, together with their surrounding settlements. The third in the list is Naphoth. That is Naphoth Dor. Yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but they did not drive them out completely. The people of Joseph, and Ephraim and Manasseh, said to Joshua, "Why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? We are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly." "If you are so numerous," Joshua answered, "and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, go up into the forest and clear land for yourselves there, in the land of the Perizzites and Rephaites." The people of Joseph replied, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who live in the plain have iron chariots, both those in Beth Shan and its settlements, and those in the valley of Jezreel." So they're backing away in the face of adversity. They don't want to have to deal with those iron chariots. We've already read about them fighting an army of chariots and hamstringing their horses and destroying their chariots. That was what Joshua did back in 11, verse 9. He did to them, the armies he was facing, as the Lord had directed. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots. So they can take out a chariot army with the Lord's help. But they're backing away from the challenge. They're not pushing themselves as far as they should. Anyway, but Joshua said to the house of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, "You are numerous and very powerful. You will have not only one allotment, but the forested hill country as well. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have iron chariots, and though they are strong, you can drive them out." Joshua has already beaten an army with chariots. It can be done. With the Lord's help, they can do it. Whether or not they're actually going to, that's the question now, isn't it? But they can. The Lord will give them the victory if only they trust in Him. The whole assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. So they're finally assembling the tabernacle again. Apparently it has not been built during this whole time. I don't know. Or if it has, it's not been at Shiloh. It's been somewhere else. Maybe some Gilgal or wherever they're having their camp. I don't know. But this is the first time we've heard about it being built here in Joshua. The country was brought under their control, but there were still 7 Israelite tribes who had not yet received their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, no, he didn't say that. He didn't say meow. I'm quite certain of that. Here's what he said. Be quiet. Oh, be quiet. How long will you wait before you begin to take possession of the land the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to make a survey of the land and write a description of it, according to the inheritance of each. Then they will return to me. You are to divide the land into 7 parts for each of the remaining tribes. Judah is to remain in its territory on the south, and the house of Joseph in its territory on the north. After you have written descriptions of the 7 parts of the land, bring them here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord your God. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priestly service of the Lord is their inheritance. We've reminded ourselves of that many times now. Yeah, you just stay right there. Right there. It's a good place for you. Say hi to the camera, cat. You can stay right here. This is a good place for the cat. And Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance on the east side of the Jordan. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to them. As the men started on their way to map out the land, Joshua instructed them, go and make a survey of the land and write a description of it. Then return to me, and I will cast lots for you here at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord. He already said this, okay? We're getting the same information recorded twice here. So the men left and went through the land. They wrote its description on a scroll, town by town, in 7 parts, and returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then cast lots for them in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and there he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their tribal divisions. We don't have that document anymore. Whatever 7-part document they wrote down, I don't believe is part of the book of Joshua or it was included in any other parts of Scripture. So there's an indication right there that they had written information at the time that they were using that we no longer have access to. The lot came out to the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan. Their allotted territory lay between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. Now, Judah and Joseph are going to be the dominant tribes in the south and the north. Judah, in fact, will be the only tribe, in addition to Benjamin, that will stay loyal to the correct king line and the priestly line of the temple in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And Ephraim will become the dominant tribe of the northern tribes in days to come, to the degree where later on in the Old Testament we're just going to sometimes refer to the entire northern nation as Ephraim instead of Israel. So Judah is the south and Joseph is the north, and in between them here is Benjamin. Yeah, you be quiet. On the north side, their boundary began at the Jordan, passed the northern slope of Jericho, and headed west into the hill country, coming out at the desert of Beth Aven. From there, it crossed the south slope of Luz, that is Bethel. Remember way back in Genesis when Jacob was there and renamed it, and went down to Ataroth Adar on the hill south of lower Beth Horon. Excuse me. From the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the boundary turned south along the western side and came out at Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, a town of the people of Judah. This was the western side. The southern side began at the outskirts of Kiriath Jearim on the west, and the boundary came out at the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The boundary west down to the foot of the hill facing the valley of The boundary went down to the foot of the hill facing the valley of Ben Hinnom. The boundary, north of the valley of Rephaim. It continued down the Hinnom Valley along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, that be Jerusalem, and so to En Rogel. It then curved north, went to En Shemesh, continued to Geliloth, which faces the pass of Adumim, and ran down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. Out of the way. Out of the way. Oh, you're so annoying. They continued to the northern slope of Beth Arabah, and on down into the Arabah. It then went to the northern slope of Beth Hoglah, and came out of the northern bay of the Salt Sea, the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan in the south. This was the southern boundary. The Jordan formed the boundary on the eastern side. That's simple enough. These are the boundaries that marked out the inheritance of the clans of Benjamin on all sides. The tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, had the following cities: Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek Kezez, Beth Arabah, Zemaraim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Kepher, Ammoni, Ophni, and Geba, 12 towns and their villages. Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kephirah, Moslah, Rechem, Erpiel, Taralah, Zelah, Halath, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah and Kiriath, 14 towns and their villages. This was the inheritance of Benjamin for its clans. I'm not really sure what the distinction is between the towns and their villages. Is it kind of like today a city and its suburbs? You know, it's like a bigger metropolitan center and then some, you know, suburbs or whatever. I'm not really sure what that means. The second lot came out for the tribe of Simeon, clan by clan. Their inheritance lay within the territory of Judah. Excuse me, my nose. Their inheritance lay within the territory of Judah. It included Beersheba, or Sheba, Moladah, Hazar, Shual, Bala, Ezram, Eltolad, Bethul, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar, Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuhen, 13 towns and their villages. Excuse me, oh my. Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 towns and their villages, and all the villages around these towns as far as Baalath, Beer, Ramah, and the Negev. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Simeonites, clan by clan. The inheritance of the Simeonites was taken from the share of Judah, because Judah's portion was more than they needed. So the Simeonites received their inheritance within the territory of Judah. So there's no borders given for Simeon, just a bunch of towns. So I guess their territory was those towns within the borders of Judah. The third lot came up for Zebulun, clan by clan. The boundary of their inheritance went as far as Sarid. Going west, it ran to Maralah, touched Dabasheth, and extended to the ravine near Jokneam. It turned east from Sarid toward the sunrise to the territory of Kisloth Tabor, and went on to Dabaroth and up to Japhia. Then it continued eastward to Gath Hefer and Eth Kazan. It came out at Rimmon and turned toward Neah. There the boundary went around to the north to the Hanathon and into the valley of Ifsah El. It included were Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Adalah, and Bethlehem. There were 12 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of Zebulun, clan by clan. The fourth lot came out for Issachar, clan by clan. Their territory included Jezreel, Kesuloth, Shunem, Hapharaim, Shihon, Anaharath, Rabbith, Kishion, Ebez, Remeth, En-Ganim, En-Hada, and Beth Pazes. The boundary touched Tabor, Shahazumah, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan. There were 16 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar, clan by clan. The fifth block came out to the tribe of Asher, clan by clan. Their territory included Helkath, Hali, Betin, Aksath, Elimelech, Ammon, and Mishal. On the west, the boundary touched Carmel and Shihor-Libnath. It then turned east toward Beth Dagon, touched Zebulun and the valley of Iphthah-El, and went north to Beth Emek and Neo, passing Kabul on the left. It went to Abdon, Rehob, Haman, and Cana as far as the greater Sidon. The boundary then turned back toward Ramah and went to the fortified city of Tyre. Tyre and Sidon would be the coast of Israel on the Mediterranean Sea to the north, and that's where the Phoenicians would be based. South on the coast were where the Philistines were, and their towns are Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, I forget the other two, there are 5 of them. And then the 2 big Phoenician cities on the northern part of the coast were Tyre and Sidon. Turned toward Hosa and came out at the sea in the region of Akzib, Umah, Aphek, and Rehob. There were 22 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Asher, clan by clan. The 6th lot came out from Naphtali, clan by clan. Their boundary went from Heleph and the large tree in Zananim, passing Adamah, Nekeb, and Jabneel to Lakhern and ending at the Jordan. The boundary ran west through Asnath Tabor and came out at Hukok. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified cities were Ziddim, Zur, Hamath, Rakath, Kinnereth, Admah, Ramah, Hazor, Kedesh, Edrei, En-Hazor, Iron, Migdal-El, Horam, Beth Anath, and Beth Shemesh. There are 19 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali, clan by clan. The 7th lot came out for the tribe of Dan, clan by clan. It's the only one left. The territory of their inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Shemesh, Sha'alaben, Ajalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekah, Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Benneth, Barak, Gath-Rimmon, Meth, Jarkon, and Rakon, with the area facing Joppa. But the Danites had difficulty taking possession of their territory. So they went up and attacked Leshem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupied it. They settled in Leshem and named it Dan, after their forefather. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, clan by clan. When they had finished dividing the land into its allotted portions, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, an inheritance among them. Caleb already got his inheritance. Now Joshua finally gets his, as the Lord had commanded. They gave him the town he asked for, Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, and he built up the town and settled there. These are the territories that Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel assigned by lot at Shiloh, in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And so they finished dividing the land.